Can Sell This Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and this is it. This is the official inaugural episode of We Can Sell This Podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Miller, along with my partners in crime, the literally and physically impregnable Nelson Piper. And the ever asymmetrical Paul Bukowski.
What's up, everybody?
Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Just
Not
lovely.
too bad. Can't complain.
Yeah, excellent. I figure before we jump into the meat and potatoes of the show, we'll do a little introduction so everyone has an idea of how we know each other and what we're up to these days. Nelson, why don't you open?
Sounds good. Well, for myself, I'm originally from Canada, moved down to Michigan and met these guys at the ripe old age of like 11 or 12, I think, and kind of been friends ever since, and lived in Michigan until I was about 19, then kind of been on the road ever since, and finally, I guess, have laid roots in the Rocky Mountains of Salt Lake City, Utah. And that's where I'm at right now, living with my wife, the only guy with a ring on his finger in this group. But, things are good. Work at a movie theater, going to school, and probably another 2 years out from being accomplished with that. So there you go. There's the has-been of the year right there.
Nice. Paul, you wanna fill in our listeners on yourself?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I'm born and raised in Michigan. Went to school with these two. When I was 18, I moved to California for about a year. Did some stuff out there with production and things like that. I ended up moving back home. I work for a networking company now, and yeah, that's about it. Same old, just having fun, living the dream.
Aren't we all? As for myself, as these guys said, we've known each other since we were 11, 12 years old. We graduated from a podunk town in middle Michigan, Millington High School. I currently still in Michigan, now a little more south from there, but I finished my college degree, graduated from the University of Michigan, Flint. Let's just ignore the latter part of that.
You got in?
Yeah, I made it.
Nice.
Got a degree in media communications, and now just currently looking for a job because I am sick of bartending.
I bet. Nice.
Well, with that out of the way, now you guys know a little more about us. Now we can kind of tell you what we're all doing here. We were kind of got bored, so we decided we were going to put together a little podcast so we could fill people in on the happenings in the movie world and the gaming, tech, entertainment world. So we're going to open with a little bit of movie reviews for you guys, some of the big stuff that came out this week. We're going to start, I believe, with Monsters University, if everyone's cool with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So let's just jump right in. What did we think?
Honestly, I really loved it. Out of all the movies that came out, I'd probably say this was the most enjoyable out of all of them.
I would definitely agree based on everything else we watched this week. I'm a sucker for Pixar in general. I've seen everything except for either of the Cars movies, but I have loved all of them, and this was not a disappointment. Not in my top 5 probably, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it too. I was surprised. It had a new director, different from the original. There were 2 directors behind Monsters Incorporated, the guys that worked on the Simpsons movie and Up. And then this guy, Dan Scholar, is that how you pronounce it?
Dan Scanlon, I thought.
Scanlon?
Yeah, either way, he hasn't...
Yeah, the only thing that he did was the original Cars movie. And I wasn't really a big fan of that, so I didn't know what to think coming into this, but I was actually pretty surprised. One of the big things for me was how well it tied into the original.
Yeah, I really didn't know how they were going to pull this all together, going back in time. And for me, at least, I thought they did a really just spot on job. A lot of the detail work in the movie. I mean, the fact that you go through different seasons and you really get that feel while you're watching it. I mean, that in and of itself was a pretty big task to accomplish.
Yeah, I agree. But before we get too far away from this point, it was kind of something I wanted to bring up with it was I was really interested that they decided to do another Monsters movie. I mean, granted, it was a prequel, so it lent itself a little better to being redone because I didn't think the movie really set itself up for a sequel.
Yeah.
But it's been 12 years.
Yeah, I was
think
thinking about that
it's-
too. I'm like, why did they wait so long for that to come out? But then I was talking to Molly about this, and she said that she felt that it was like geared towards our generation. Like they knew that we grew up watching that, and so when it came back
Yeah.
out, it's like, okay, well these kids are probably going to be in college now.
But it's different than like it was with Toy Story though, because remember there was that huge gap between 2 and 3. If I remember right, I
Yeah.
want to say it was like 8 years or something. But that was one that it had already had 2 movies. It had been ingrained in our generations. Everyone saw them, and everyone wanted a third. I mean, I can't think of anybody who that we grew up with that wouldn't want to see Toy Story 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though
exactly.
we're all 23 years old now.
Yeah.
But I think it's just Monsters Inc. wasn't really, while it was a really good movie, it wasn't really one that like an entire generation saw or like connected with as much as I thought like Toy Story.
If I remember right, I think it was like the next movie Pixar put out after Finding Nemo.
I think it was before Finding Nemo. Monsters Inc. was like 2001. I think it goes like Toy Story, and then A Bug's Life, and then I'm pretty sure.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah, I know. And then it's
Oh,
a
gosh.
Monsters Inc. I think that's the order.
Yeah.
But like I said, it was a really good movie, but it was just I think the fact that it didn't have 2 while we were young kind of hinders it a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cuz Toy Story
Well,
plus you had Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, people had known, knew
Yeah,
them.
some big ones, but you had like Toy Story, then A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2 in 99, and then Monsters Inc., like you said, in 01, and then it went to Finding Nemo. And I mean, they've built up and they've really got a standard set for what animation really should be.
Oh, I agree.
And-
Oh yeah. I also like the little short stories they always do in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I think just as like for working for that studio, it'd be fun to be on that side project where you can kind of
doing
just do whatever
the
you
blue
want.
umbrella.
Yeah.
It was honestly like I kind of rolled my eyes at first because those little like intro ones I'm not usually a fan of unless it's like one of those quick Simpson ones, but this one like really blew me away at how good animation is these days, because I seriously started watching it and I was like, is this real? Like did they actually film this and then edit it from there? But as you go on, obviously, like you see a little bit more that it's
Yeah,
really
the
animation.
the faces on the umbrellas.
Yeah.
Dead giveaway. It wasn't real.
Well, that's a good point. I think we all can agree that Pixar, as far as animated movies go, is the standard. I mean, even when you compare the worst Pixar movie, which in my opinion would be A Bug's Life,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's still as good as anything DreamWorks puts out or any other animated movie company. I mean, Wreck-It
Yeah.
Ralph was good, but outside of that, I can't think of something that's animated in this fashion
Well,
Yeah.
that I
and
that I
that's,
enjoyed that wasn't a Pixar movie.
that's the thing too. Like when they go into these big, animated productions, they really put that added polish to everything. Like not only do you have like a strong line of characters that are interesting, but then the overall story's good.
Yeah.
and
I think
they take the
world-
time to really develop that.
I think it's the world that's even the most immersive. There's so much detail into
Oh yeah.
all the little stuff.
like this movie in particular. It draws parallels, college life and university life in the real life. But it's so immersed and entrenched in this world of monsters that it's just I don't know. They do a great job.
Yeah.
I loved the movie.
Because they just build it up. Like, you don't really feel like, oh, they just made up this place. It's like, this is history. This is part of something.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And then back to the point that I made earlier, I really liked how they tied back into the original. Steve Buscemi does the voice of Randy. That's that Gecko character.
Randall.
That was that was Randall. He was the main villain in the first movie, and I really liked how they kind of tied him in to this one. He wasn't really a main focus, but he was still there. That one part in the beginning where he has his glasses on, and they make him take them off, and he just has that evil look on his face instantly.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty
You
funny.
start seeing his build up, and then obviously at the end of the movie, that crux where he's just like, I'll never trust you again, or that's the last time I,
Yeah.
work with you kind of thing, and you're just like, oh, this is where like there's a deep-seated hate that like came from college kind of thing. The other thing that I really liked about it is at the very end you're seeing like all these little images and stuff like that. Like you come to realize that these two guys that are the stars of like the monster corporation are really just a bunch of college dropouts. You know, the really successful people just really drop out of college.
Yeah,
so,
right. So yeah,
Cameron, you have a step down on us, really. So
That's true. I'm just completely formulaic. I'm just a what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just a drone of society. I have a college degree.
so
Don't worry, Nelson. You are marching your way towards me.
Yeah, but I still have the potential to drop out.
That's true. Well, I'm not going to graduate school. Does that count?
No, you already completed. You already have that piece of paper. Granted,
If I go to graduate school and then take one class and drop out, do I regain my street cred?
Honestly, I think you do. You might actually be on the radar for Facebook. They might be looking for you.
That almost might be worth the $1,200 it cost me.
Easily.
So do we have any more on Monsters U?
there was a couple things that I was going to bring up really quick. It's the formula is that like typical underdog story,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Very similar to The Internship. Did you guys see that at all?
I did not
this year?
see it.
No, I couldn't bring myself to see that one yet.
Yeah, it wasn't too
I've
hot,
kind
but
of evolved past my Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson phase.
yeah.
Wedding Crashers, great movie.
Yeah.
I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, agreed. Because really, just Vince Vaughn just has the same face all the time, the same epic retarded monologue. Granted,
Yeah.
I know that those pronouns don't really do well to describe Vince
Epic
Vaughn.
retarded.
Epic
Yeah,
retarded.
well done.
Thank you. But
Plus, Owen Wilson's nose is still broken.
oh gosh, I don't even think it's his nose anymore. I think it's just like a sensor. He's got like sonar going on
I don't
from
think
that
I've
thing.
enjoyed Owen Wilson since I saw You, Me, and Dupree.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hated that movie.
Oh, I liked You, Me, and
I thought
Dupree.
it sucked
was
so
funny.
bad. Yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
too impressed with that. But the same thing, right? Like that wasn't that after Wedding Crashers?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
my
You, Me, and
mind,
Dupree was like the year after. It was like 05.
yeah,
if I
my
remember.
mind was really wrapped around that for
Oh.
whatever reason. So okay,
No,
so the next movie that came out.
Well, no,
this
you
weekend.
wanted to touch on Monsters U a little more, didn't you?
Oh no, I got my points in.
Oh.
I was just talking about how
I
it
got my
was.
fix.
It was similar to The Internship.
Oh.
Yeah.
It
All
was
right,
all
yeah. Next movie on the list.
Oh, here we go. The Heat. For anyone who doesn't know, I mean, The Heat. It's got Sandra Bullock obviously and Melissa McCarthy, and really, just from like the brief, like kind of talking with my wife and a couple other people that I went and saw it with, really there's not anything with a plot to it. I mean, it's
Right.
loosely based right there, and at the same time, really the big focus is like these two and their relationship, and it's so predictable in that way. And the only thing that's really unpredictable is their conversation or their monologues that they have, and that's the thing that I guess draws people in and why people could mistakenly think that this is a really good movie.
So it
And-
reminded me of like Anchorman, right? Where like the plot doesn't matter. It's all about the different monologues and things like that between the characters. But I don't know, like I didn't hate it. It was a lot better than I thought it was, but I'm not really a big fan of Melissa McCarthy. She has this Kevin James effect that I like to call it, where like we're fascinated with like watching overweight people be active and witty. It's like, that's like acceptable in society, so this is funny to me.
Yeah.
See, I view her as she's the flavor of the month right now, right? Ever since No, she is. Ever
Yeah.
since Bridesmaids, we kind of see her all over the place.
Yeah.
She hosts SNL. She's in this movie. She does the one with Jason Bateman a couple weeks ago.
Oh
Identity
yeah,
Theft.
Identity Thief.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's just
Thief.
everywhere right now because she had one hit movie, and now like let's just wring this lemon dry. Let's just squeeze everything we can out of it.
Yeah.
And I saw Bridesmaids, and I thought it was really funny, legitimately funny movie. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate this movie. To me, is just a complete cash grab. To me, you get Sandra Bullock, big star, Melissa McCarthy, like I said, flavor of the month. You throw them in a buddy flick that every guy's girlfriend is gonna want to go see, and you draw them all out of the woodwork for one weekend.
But honestly, like for them at least, like Fox, it was the smartest move because up to this point there hasn't been a chick flick, or
No.
I should say there hasn't been anything geared towards women. And
Hey, if I'm working for Fox, I'm doing this move every day.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I? I mean, it's like I said. I mean, it's just free money.
yeah,
You know, people are gonna go see it. You know they are.
mm-hmm.
But you know, as the three of us sit here and we like to watch movies, and not to sound elitist or anything, but we like to watch something with a little bit of meat to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't hold water. I mean, I have no interest in seeing it. And like I told you guys when we were talking about it last week, about what we were going to watch for this show, I said, I'm not going to put myself through that movie because I'm just going to hate it. And I didn't go see it. I knew I wasn't going to. I knew what I could expect out of it. I'd get a couple of cheap laughs out of it, but I wouldn't enjoy myself while I was there. So I didn't go watch it.
Honestly, I think the director, Paul Feig, how do you say his name?
I think that's how you
butcher it
say
every
it.
time.
I was
but
just
Paul
thinking
Feig.
Phage.
Paul
You know,
Feig. I don't know if that's right
at
or
the
not.
same time, this is his bread and butter because he came out with Bridesmaids, and then coming out with The Heat next, it's just like right up that alley. Same with like, I just have to pull in McCarthy and really just get that all set up. But to be honest, out of all of them, this is the one that's really hit the market. Like this one for opening weekend box office, it was at 43 million compared to Bridesmaids for opening weekend was 32.5 and Identity Thief was at 35. So he's definitely climbed up and really figured out, I guess, how to better market that, and then also, you know, the exact kind of characters and actors that he needed to get this going. So it's definitely going to go past its budget, and I really think in the next like 2 or 3 weeks, obviously we have a lot of big things coming out, and you know, it's going to pull from that. But at the same time, I definitely feel like out of all the movies this weekend, like it really has some potential to do more than any of the other I guess movies in that same kind of limelight and direction.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably true.
I was actually really surprised to see that Marlon Wayans was in this movie.
Yeah,
It's probably his best movie he's done in quite some time.
Dude,
and,
what about
like-
White Chicks?
yeah.
Well, that's
in
the thing,
quite
right?
some
So
time.
you see him in this, and I'm just waiting for him to do something over the top or just
yeah.
out there. But no, they cast him as this like normal guy. It's just really weird to see him play that role.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I want to bring this up. Obviously, I said I didn't see it, but I wanted to ask you guys this, and it kind of has to do with what we were talking about before. Can you imagine any other actress in that role besides Melissa McCarthy? Can you see
Right.
anybody else playing that character?
Yes, I can, but it's like it's a really big pull, and honestly, she wouldn't do a good job.
Well, who?
Yeah, who are you? What? Kathy Bates?
Kathy Bates, not Kathy Bates. What the freak? Oh goodness, her name escapes me. Oh, it's Wendy McLendon Covey. She's the one that's in Bridesmaids. She's the one that has the husband. She's always getting drunk.
Oh
And,
yeah. She's
Yeah.
isn't she on Saturday Night Live or something like that as well?
Yeah, I think she's done like a couple episodes of that, but she's on Rules of Engagement. That's the thing that I guess mainly seen her in. So
guess I'm not
aside from
familiar.
that, like Rules of Engagement, and then she was in this Bridesmaids, and well, obviously like Reno 911. You know.
Yeah. Well,
But-
Who was she in Reno?
Oh, freak. I can't remember what she's Clementine Johnson is her name in the show.
Oh, okay. I just pulled her up, so I kind of know who you're talking about now.
Gotcha. She's the only other person that I think could potentially do that, just because she's done roles where she's like that really loud, obnoxious, like almost like a dude kind of thing.
Right.
And that's where I could see her playing that role. But honestly, I mean, you're not really gonna get much better than McCarthy, because it's just her typecasted.
Well, that
thing.
was gonna be my whole point with the thing is like, I don't enjoy movies where they're written for an actor. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Well,
Like, that
I was going to add to that really quick though. Back to the Kevin James thing, I think he could have been replaced in that movie because they're banking off this like something to do with this quirkiness of watching these people that you wouldn't think would act this way act that way.
Was Kevin James in this movie?
No, he wasn't.
You're saying that he could have played the role of her?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, but then it loses its whole appeal of being two women. I mean, that was kind of the whole point.
Yeah, but I was more looking at it from like a buddy cop.
Well, I could think of a lot of male actors that could fit in that role.
Yeah.
I mean, you could put him in. You could put Billy Gardell in there. I mean, basically any fat comedian.
Except for
Right.
Gabriel Iglesias.
Ralphie May. Yeah, not
Ralphie
Gabriel
May.
Iglesias.
Wow.
But overall, I think for me at least, I'd say the funniest part in that show was two of them. One with McCarthy, where she throws the watermelon at the escaping perp, and then the other one would have to be when Sandra Bullock's finally like. The whole movie, she hasn't been swearing the entire time, and then she like tries to stand up for Melissa McCarthy, and she just starts butchering, just absolutely
I think
horrible swearing.
I think overall, like I enjoyed watching it, and there wasn't a point where I'm like, oh god, just I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I guess it was a lot better than I thought, but I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's a one-time view, and you get a laugh, and you're good. But moving on from that, I think the last movie that we really wanted to go
into, perfect segue right there from Paul. a movie that I wouldn't get out of. Leave. We saw White House Down this weekend.
Yes, we did. If that's what you want to call it. We
sat
through the torture that is
I think
White
it's
House
called
Down.
Die Hard in the White House.
It tries so hard to be Die Hard.
Olympus has
ridiculous.
fallen too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we even get started, I wanted to say this. This being our first episode, I didn't want to like go and see a movie and then come on and just trash it and sound like an asshole. And just like that's just what we're gonna do is just rip all these movies that we see. Because no, we like movies. We even enjoy movies that aren't very good.
Right.
There's
quite
a few. But I left 40 minutes in.
Oh man.
The first bomb went off in the White House, and I left. I had no interest.
Did you get your money back?
What's that?
Did you get your money back?
No,
Oh,
I didn't
man.
even care. I would have paid again to leave. I hated Channing Tatum's character. I hated his daughter. I hated Jamie Foxx. There was absolutely nothing keeping me in this movie.
So you left right around where the guy's in the guard tower, and he's like, shots fired, cold black.
Yes.
And then just gets shot in the head.
Yeah, basically when most people would argue it's just starting to get good, I was like, you know what? I don't need to see any more of this.
I will dismiss myself from this.
So I felt bad that our first episode we're gonna do a movie that I thought was this horrible.
So I pulled in to see it the other day, and I text Cameron. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go see White House Down. And he's like, oh, good luck. I walked out of it. So I'm like, oh, it can't be that bad. And I walk in there, I sit down, and like in the first opening scene, Channing Tatum's freaking threatening a squirrel with his gun. And I'm like, well, here we go.
You should have just taken my advice. We could have talked about literally anything else.
I can't unsee this.
I think the worst part to it all, I mean, once you get past that 40 minutes, it does start to get a little bit better with Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx together. They do a really good job of playing off one another. But his daughter is by far like, you really are just hoping that the terrorists do just say, all right, enough's enough. Thanks for putting up these random YouTube videos because that's super plausible. Whose
daughter is that? Whose daughter is like an 11-year-old White House conspiracist?
Yeah.
How are you raising her? Like, what are you doing?
And so, but then the other thing too, in the beginning, all the bad guys are those stereotype bad guys. You got the ginger pushing the janitor cart. He's looking at his watch. Like, it's just like it was just the most everything about that movie. The pacing, it was awkward. The dialogue was awkward.
The shots
that was
of
another
the show.
Thing. I mean, I sat through 40 minutes. In 40 minutes in which nothing happened. Like, there was nothing going on.
Yeah. That's another
They
thing.
spend the first half hiding in the elevator shaft. Jamie Foxx and Channing Tatum.
Not to mention that they snuck Maggie Gyllenhaal into this movie.
The train
don't.
wreck that is Maggie Gyllenhaal.
The train wreck that is the Gyllenhaal family.
Bam.
man.
There are 3 actors outside of The Dark Knight, because I had to watch it, but there are 3 actors I don't ever want to see, and that's Maggie Gyllenhaal, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Tobey Maguire.
Oh, wow.
I don't want to see anything ever with any of them.
See, I'll add to that list Anne Hathaway, but
Ooh, I enjoy Anne Hathaway. Sorry.
All
Sorry.
right, to each his own. But Maggie Gyllenhaal, we can all agree that lady just. It's something about her face. It's just all
The fact that
Step Brothers
her
like.
nose is pushed into her sinus cavity.
Yeah,
Right.
that definitely has a main draw to it. But
There's a point in the movie where Mr. James Woods is actually in this movie as well. He's talking to her, and he's like basically telling her to go home and get some because she looks so rough.
Do you think that was a complete improv by James Woods?
Yes.
Like,
We'll just
that
roll with
wasn't-
it.
That wasn't supposed to be in the movie. That was just a conversation he was having with Maggie Gyllenhaal.
it was just after a long day of taking those first couple scenes, and it had nothing to do with the actual show.
Yeah.
But he finally just Roland Emmerich just was like, all right, we're gonna go with it. This is the only actual dialogue that we have that isn't fake. So I mean, overall, like Jason Clarke, the main bad guy, it was just horrible how like they directed this movie to be like so stereotypical. Like all the people in the news are like, we think it's Al Qaeda, we think it's some Iraqi Arab nation, and you're just like, why just try to stereotype it even further of just making the news media seem dumber than what they are? Granted, they are pretty stupid, but it just like really bugged me in that way. The only redeeming quality of this movie was that the CGI was better than oh man, what was that? What was the other movie with the White House?
Olympus Has
Olympus Has
I
Fallen. There
didn't
we
get
go.
to see that. Well, this was directed by Roland Emmerich.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did The Day After Tomorrow and 10,000
Independence
BC
Day.
and Independence Day.
Another Gyllenhaal film, if I remember right.
Yes. Yeah, he can't get enough of them.
Uh,
So this whole thing, right? Like Jamie Foxx is the president. Channing Tatum is trying to get into his Secret Service team.
mhm.
But
the
he's
White
just
House
a
gets
loose. He's just a loose cannon. They just can't trust him.
yeah. So they end up bombing the White House or whatever, right? So at the very end of all this, the daughter gets through it. And spoiler alert, sorry about that. The daughter gets through all this. She goes out. She
Thanks
gets to
for
the
after the
she gets to the news crew, and the first thing they ask, they go, "Do you know how many views you have on YouTube?"
Oh my God, I forgot about that part. Stupid
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
Over 700 million views. Whoa, are you serious? The worst part of this whole thing is like she's the one who saves the day. Channing Tatum goes to get the president or whatever, but she goes out waving a flag. I don't even know what it is, if it's like the president's seal. And then these trained like pilots and fighters are like, oh, there's a girl on the front lawn. We didn't know we were going to be killing people when we blew up the White House. I can't do this. I'm out. Abort.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah, that was so funny.
I'm just like, no, she didn't save
I like
the day.
how they set the timer, and it's like 8 minutes, and it's like, okay, 8 minutes to wrap this heap up.
You know what? I totally forgot to write an ending. Anybody got any ideas?
Yeah.
Well, we got to wrap it up because after all, it is freaking 2 hours and 10 minutes of. They could have done without that first 40 minutes. Jumped
I was
right
gonna
into
say,
it.
the first scene should have been the White House blowing up,
Yeah.
right?
Just get right to it, and of course not. And overall, though, Jamie Foxx, he's probably my shining star out of all of this. He did.
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up because this is the one thing I wanted to talk about with it. Because I did not think I didn't see the whole thing because I left, but I was not enjoying his performance at all. And it's like Jamie Foxx just refuses to let me like him.
Did you see Django?
Yes, and I love Django.
Yeah,
but what did he do before? What did he do before Django? He did Horrible Bosses, and I thought he was awful in Horrible Bosses. I hated that movie. What did he do before that? Then he does before that He does Due Date, which was also terrible.
Whoa.
That was that Galifianakis Robert Downey Jr. capitalization right there. Basically, the male equivalent of The Heat. Just money grab. Seriously. Then before that, he does Dreamgirls. Good movie. He does Law Abiding Citizen. Good movie. Then before that, he does Jarhead, another Gyllenhaal bomb that I hate. Then before that, he does Ray. Wins an Oscar. Great movie. Like, he does good movies, and then he just does these awful, awful movies, and it's just terrible. Like, I want to like Jamie Foxx. But he just does this garbage.
You're forgetting Miami Vice. I mean, that.
Oh, how could I? How could I forget Miami Vice?
Yeah. He did Collateral. He did a decent job on that.
I never saw Collateral, but I'm not a big Tom Cruise guy either.
Oh, don't worry. Tom Cruise doesn't play the same character in every single one of his movies, so you're not missing anything. I mean, he's so versatile.
Yeah, that's true.
Sarcasm
If you
want to
watch Tom Cruise, watch Risky Business. If you watch anything else, don't bother.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you need to know about Tom Cruise. Maybe Top Gun, but that's more just because it's a ridiculous 80s flick.
Yeah.
And it has that quirky cachet, I guess. Well, anyway, I mean, that's all I've got on White House Down, and I'd really appreciate it if we never have to talk about it again.
Well,
Yeah,
the one final stamp and I guess nail to the coffin is just how horrible it did over the weekend. I mean, World War Z, for crying out loud, it's in its second week right here, and it made about $5,000 more over the weekend.
$5 grand?
I'm sorry, $5 million. He made $5 million more, and then to be honest, like White House Down, the budget for that thing was just out of this world, like $150 million, which I mean, I guess with a big movie like this and the CG that you're going to be putting into it. But it only made $24 million at the very end of the weekend. It just bombed. So
and honestly, the three of us were talking about it, and we kind of expected it to be the big movie of the weekend.
Yeah,
and
by no means.
By no means was it. Monsters U first again, and then The Heat after that.
Yeah,
both pulling in 41 and 40 or something like that.
Yeah, no, Monsters U had 45, and then compared to White House Down with 24, it's doing less than half of that.
Monsters U and this. Was this Monsters U second week?
Yeah, it was its second week as well.
Monsters U in its second week almost doubles up White House Down opening weekend.
Yeah,
we were way off base on that one. Good on you, America. You were.
I didn't expect for it to be such a train wreck.
Yeah, you were.
It's horrible.
You knew what you were doing there.
Indeed.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a quick break.
Yeah,
and we'll get back.
We can sell this podcast.
Okay, so I want to derail a little bit. I got to talk to you about what happened at the drive-thru the other day. So I don't know how hard it is to do your job at the drive-thru, but I pull up, and I was at Dairy Queen, and two items I wanted. I wanted
DQ. Call it DQ.
DQ.
Covert.
Sorry.
Covert.
I wanted two items, right? I wanted a medium vanilla in a waffle cone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted and this is where the anger comes in. I wanted a medium strawberry cheesequake.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
And so the guy completely forgets about the waffle cone thing. And we're talking about strawberry cheesequake for about 2 minutes in the drive-thru, just back and forth. What size was that cheesequake? Medium. All right, so you want a small cheesequake, and you want that cone dipped? No, yeah, I want a medium vanilla in a waffle cone. Oh, so you want that dipped in strawberry? Like just the medium cheesequake. That's it. We'll just go with that. Okay, yeah, pull forward. So I'm just livid. I can't stand. It's not enough to market all these things with all these fake pictures. Like you go to McDonald's, right? They got the burger. It's all beautiful, but when you get it, it's very depressing. I'm just so sick of these marketed names. Cheesequake.
Cheesequake.
Like, can I get an angry Sasquatch burger? Extra squatch? Like, why can't we just talk normal? We're trying to order
squatch sauce.
Or can we at least keep the numbering system?
Yeah,
A 7.
I want a large number 1.
A 7 and a 2. I don't know. That's my
Because
little.
they'll still get that screwed up.
That's my little rant.
We're in a gourmet world, Paul. All right. It's not enough. It's not enough to have a Big Mac anymore. I need a bacon habanero ranch quarter pounder. All right.
Yeah.
I need you to provide me with a high level of ingredients, things that I don't know what they taste like, so I can pretend that I'm a foodie and I
Right.
know what's better than
But
you.
not only provide me that, but let's change the name. So our conversation in public is just it's
Asinine.
confusing the aliens when they're looking down at us.
Yeah, we're really mixing it up. No, I full on agree with that. Like I went to McDonald's, surprise, like a week ago, and I'm sitting there. It's like 12:30 in the morning, and this guy is like, "Hold on, sir," and I was like, "Okay." I wait like 2 minutes. There's like the double drive-through that they have, so they can be twice as efficient in ordering, right? This truck goes. He starts giving his order, and then I'm like, "Hey man, you ready?" He's like, "Just hold on," and I was like, all right. This guy goes through, finishes his order. Another car comes up to that second window. They finish their order. At this point, I'm like, hey, buddy, you doing all right there? and he's just like, sir, just hold on. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, tell me why I need to hold on. Like, what's so riveting about me being with you right now when I could be in this other lane dealing with this lady? And I already have like 6 people behind me that are full on committed to this line. I'm like, they have the opportunity to move and they choose not to. And it's just making me irate. So a total of 10 minutes goes by, and then I'm like, all right, what is going on here? And he just said, I'm counting out my till bag. And I'm like, you probably have $150 in that till bag. It takes you 10 minutes to count this thing. No wonder you work at McDonald's on the midnight shift.
I got a lot of nickels and dimes.
I lost all my quarters. They fell down the crack. And it's like, no, buddy, like freaking get your act together and pull your head out of your ass.
I'm gonna say this one thing about this issue. Granted, yes, he's working at midnight McDonald's, but you've also chosen to eat at McDonald's at midnight.
There's nothing else. There's no
But
choice.
he hasn't even gotten to the point where he has to wait for his fries. Like, he hasn't even gotten there yet.
But there is an expectation of performance when you are on a late shift at a fast food restaurant.
Yes, but I mean, this other lady's just like, she's full on efficient. So I was like, screw this. I just drove through because everyone behind me couldn't get the picture. And finally, I'm like, screw this. I'm getting fourth meal, going a little taco smell. And they're freaking closed. They even put on the side a fourth meal, They have all these little billboards and banners, and they're like, they're not even
Fourth
freaking
meal is
open.
1 a.m. to 3 a.m.
I thought it was
Nelson.
2 a.m. or later.
I don't know what it is.
So they have a 4-hour siesta? I mean, I know it's Mexican food, but it doesn't have to be Mexican culture.
We need to count the change again.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
We'll
We need to move forward. If I just let you guys go, we'll be here all day.
Okay.
Indeed.
Our next segment, we're going to talk about a couple of games that came out in the last 2 weeks or so. We're a little late to the party, but they are so engrossing that it would be
We're here.
it would be a true travesty.
We're here to play.
We're here to play.
We're going to play the games.
The first one we're going to talk about is The Last of Us, PS4 exclusive. My top candidate for
Whoa. PS3. You said PS4.
PS3
That's all right.
exclusive. I'm getting.
I got to tell you, I had a PS3 back in 08, right? I wasn't playing it very much. Sold it. I heard about this game, went out and bought another one.
Oh.
Specifically for this game. So that's saying something.
Yeah. It really is just an absolute masterpiece. Unfortunately, Nelson is still living in the haze that is the Microsoft Xbox world, so he hasn't had an opportunity to play this.
Yeah.
So,
I heard the other day he was bragging about getting a Ouya.
Ooh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. No, really, and all listeners, for the sake of this show and for better quality, I really feel like you should go to our donate page and start donating. It's not for a cause or anything like that. It's just for Nelson to get a PS4 when it comes out.
We should bring him. Yeah, we'll bring him over to the good side.
That way we all have console symmetry in the future.
There we go. The donation page will be hashtag Nelson's conversion. So,
So yeah, The
All right,
Last of
yeah.
Us.
Yeah, I want to get into this. I am on my second playthrough right now. I'm about 3 hours in on that one, and I'm having trouble putting this game down. It's not just the gameplay that is so entertaining to me, because it's got a high level of stealth base, but it's a lot of
But
you
it's
know,
not
Paul,
that
it's a lot-
annoying stealth, right? That
No,
stealth
it's
where
not.
you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, it has a
not- it-
really good balance between stealth and action, and you can kind of approach it any way you want, which I really like.
That's what I was gonna say. It's not even that it's directs you into that combination. It's like, if you prefer to play more stealthy, then go right ahead. It's all you.
Right.
But
it's
what
not like Assassin's Creed where you just have to do it.
Well, you have like a lot of these games out there, especially in years past. The industry's getting better, but you would have these moments where it's like you don't have any options, and you're spent waiting in certain areas for just drawn out periods of time because you can't afford to get caught.
Yeah.
And it just gets boring after a while. But the balance here is so immaculate, and it's just so much fun to play.
So
I love playing the game. But
I think-
beyond that,
really quick, I just want to establish the backstory for this game. So it's
well, hold on. Spoilers, because this actually is a lot of people are still playing this. It's pretty new, and you do not want to have it ruined for you.
All right,
So if you haven't played it, do not listen any further. Skip ahead 15 minutes to be safe, 20 minutes to be safe. All right, go ahead.
So yeah, I was actually just going to talk about the backstory a little bit. So it's a post-apocalyptic world where you play as the character Joel, who we find out in like the first 20 minutes of the game loses his daughter, and then we get another time sequence where it goes
30
years in the
of
future.
Well, let's talk about the prologue there for a second. I mean,
Okay.
I kind of expected her to die.
Yeah.
But upon the moment when it happened, I was like, I can't believe that they actually did it. I
thought we were gonna get separated or something playing it. I didn't think that she was gonna get killed right off the bat.
I had a weird feeling that she would, or at least you would think that she got killed. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like you get separated and you think she's dead, like you were saying, but it's just right in your face. I mean, she's dead. She dies literally in your arms.
Yeah.
And the story just takes off from there. I mean, it sets the tone perfectly for what you're going to get in the next 13 to 15 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
I mean, the world is just this desperate wasteland.
And it gets
it's
worse
just-
from there. And it gets
everything
worse
does.
and
It
worse.
just-
And that's like the thing about it, right? So when you get this game, it's not going to be this shiny, awesome experience. It's gritty. And that's like one of the best things about it. Like, it doesn't hold back. It just gets darker and darker as you go. And that's one of the things that stood out to me. Like, most games, they go down this certain road, but then sooner or later they come back up again. But this one just kept going down and down and down, and that's what was actually really awesome about it for me. And,
it really is. It's
there-
even.
Go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say, like, that beginning sequence before we move on. I liked how how fluent it is. Like, you start out as his daughter Sarah, and you're walking around the house, and it just has like this eerie aura to it, and things are going on outside. That you walk into Joel's room, he's not there, but the TV's on, and they're talking about this attack that had happened, and the explosion happens on the TV, and it also happens outside, like, in real time. So you like see that happen. You run downstairs, the cops drive by. It's just like, it's a really good cinematic experience that it doesn't feel linear. It feels like it's just happening around you.
Even though it is.
Right.
Yeah, it's not. It's almost like. And this is when you get later in the game, like Paul was saying earlier, after that prologue, you go 20 years in the future, and Joel's in a quarantine zone in Boston. Basically, they're keeping the infected, which it's this fungus that everyone it touches, it turns into what is essentially a zombie. So the whole country is divided off into like these quarantine zones to try and keep people safe and keep the infected out of there. But so you're 20 years in the future, and it's just, you see everything that has broken down around you in the world, and it's just like, as you're playing this story, while it's about you and about the characters, it's like it's all a byproduct of like everything else that's going on around you, just all the terrible things that you're seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, the story is so immersive, and this is what I was gonna say earlier. While the gameplay is great, it's the best story in video games that I've ever played. And I'm a big gamer. I haven't missed a game worth playing in probably 8 years, at least from this type of perspective. I mean, I don't really play shooters or anything like that, but anything with a story or anything worth sitting down and investing in, I've touched.
No, they got everything they have. It's just a real potent mix of the presentation, the gameplay, the story, the visuals, everything.
Yeah, I was blown away by it. I'm gonna beat it a second time, and I would imagine I'd even play it a third time. I mean, I don't really go for trophies or anything very often. Yeah. And I don't really care to, but I can see myself platinuming this thing just because I don't want to put it down ever. And we won't even talk about the ending because I don't want anyone to accidentally.
We lost you there for a moment there, Cameron.
Oh, am I back on?
Yep, you're back on.
Okay. Well, I don't want to ruin anything major for anybody, but it is something that you need to experience. And I would, if I didn't own a PS3 prior to having this game, I would have went and got one just to play it.
Yeah. And that's the boat that I'm in. It's awesome. And Nelson, if you decide to man up and play a real game, I highly recommend it.
If you ever find it in your heart to step away from Halo.
It's been a hard couple weeks, just thinking about it and talking to my game, just letting it know that I got to lay it down easy. But I definitely just from this, I'm like, you know what, maybe I should really just not wait for the donations to come in, but just finally fork out for myself. So yeah,
the story in that game is better than any movie I remember seeing, fairly recently.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about The Dark Knight Rises, fine. It depends on your taste or whatever, but it's so cinematic. The characters are so well developed. There's so many of these crucial, gut-wrenching plot points, and I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah. I probably should have prepared a little better to talk about it when we came on here today.
Well, I think
it's still it's almost like still an emotional experience for me.
No, I mean, just as we've been talking, or you guys have been talking, I've been kind of just looking at the sneak peeks of them and the trailers and everything like that, and it's just just from the shots that they have here, it's not a happy story. It's really real life, and it looks like it too. There's a lot of depth to that.
This is something we've never seen before in video games. Naughty Dog has been doing these cinematic type games for years with the Uncharted series.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And those have been great, but everybody tells you, it's basically Indiana Jones on your PlayStation, which is awesome. Great, I'm a treasure hunter, I get to go shoot bad guys, but there's no consequences for killing. There's no you never feel
you kill 1,000 people
danger.
And it's like nothing.
Yeah, you never feel like you're in danger. There's no reason to worry about your supplies or the people around you. It's just a whole different experience when you're in this game. And that was something I wanted to touch on when you brought it up a few minutes earlier, was even in the beginning, the tone was set right from the start. Even when I'm just Sarah walking through the house, I'm expecting something to jump out at me every moment.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're on the edge of your seat.
And there really isn't. I mean, you've probably killed 2 to 1 humans against infected in this game. You know what I mean? I mean, there's really not a ton of areas with infected in them. But you expect them at every moment.
Yeah.
And even though you're waiting for them, you're still never prepared. I've never had that feeling in a game before where I'm
No, I was amazed. I got to this
almost
one point.
Terrified.
Yeah, I got to this one point later in the game where you're going through the subway, and it just amazed me that I happened to have enough equipment on me to get through this section. You really do have to you just immerse yourself, and you do scrounge for everything that you need. That's one of the cool things about this game, is that the weapon system and how you're collecting things as you go, collecting ammo. Ammo is very scarce. You're almost, when you're interacting with humans, for the most part, you want to do a melee attack on them and save your ammo for later in the game.
Yeah, you are entirely. I love stealth games. Like, I love Splinter Cell and stuff like that. But there are still moments in those games where I don't mind having a firefight. I was totally focused on not using any supplies at any moment if I couldn't. And I would get physically upset if I got spotted on occasion.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would just be like, God, how did he see me? Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? I mean, I'm hiding behind a wall and, like, my foot pokes out and he, like, catches me and I just, become irate about it.
That was another point that I'm actually glad you brought that up. The AI in this game is something that I've never really, experienced before either.
They're smart.
They are very smart. If you shoot from somewhere or take somebody down at one spot, if you remain in that area, they know that you're there, and they know how to they know how to talk to each other and move around. It's just it almost has
they'll flank you and
it has just that real aura to it, and it's just amazing how they've captured that. And then like even when you go up and you try to strangle somebody. It's almost like you really feel the gravity of strangling somebody.
It's true. I kind of know what it's like to murder a person. Thanks, Naughty Dog.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, it's an amazing game. We'll have to get Nelson on board to check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
for sure.
It's definitely my game of the year. I can't.
As it stands right now, it is definitely my game of the year. I'm still holding out for GTA, but I will tell you right now, GTA will not be as an
there's no
engaging
way the story
experience.
Can be,
exactly.
Yeah, it's totally different. I'm not a huge GTA fan. I don't know why. I just never have really I don't enjoy the story very much, and there's so many open world games now. It was different when you played Vice City. It was like one of the only sandboxes you had.
Right.
But now it's like I got Assassin's Creed. I got so many other options that I can go around and play with them. Like,
I'm really hoping that they actually, and we're kind of derailing here a little bit, but just to talk about GTA really quick, I'm hoping that they really like kind of reinvent open world, and it's something that's more like involved with like multiplayer. A lot of the game is based around doing heists. So if there was some sort of thing where like you and your friends have to go get all this gear and pull off a heist together, I think that type of gameplay could really make that stand out.
I think you're right, and I think you're going to see that, but I don't think you're going to see that until next gen. I think that's something that's going to be paramount to a lot of open world games in a couple months here once we get our hands on PS4
and I think that's the big pull and draw with these next gen gaming systems is just the system in which it's done. Because if you were to do what you're saying, Paul, with the systems that we have and the servers that they have set up right now, I just could see it crashing just with the loadout that they have compared to how the next gen is going to be, like cloud computing and doing everything on these massive server networks that they're setting up.
Right.
It's going to be a lot more fluid come that next gen. Granted, if it comes out with like on PS3 and Xbox 360, like they still might be able to pull some of that off, but only on select areas and things like that. So I definitely think, Cameron, you're saying in the right light there. The next gen is really where we're going to see the open play really take a new shape and form.
Yeah, there's just going to be so much more. Literally so much more everything in the next.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. But we are not going to talk about that right now because we are saving it for later.
Right.
We're moving on to our next game.
Okay.
I have been where I said The Last of Us completely immerses me. It's right. But I don't think it has even gotten me an iota as close as it has with Animal Crossing on my 3DS. This game is monopolizing my life.
Yeah.
I play this literally. I got it on June 9th. I have played it every day, minimum half an hour a day. Probably closer on average to 2 to 3 hours a day. I am completely I've been in love with Animal Crossing since the first one came out on GameCube.
So I hadn't even
13
played.
Or 14.
I haven't even played Animal Crossing until this came out, and I was looking up some stuff online, and people were talking about how addicting it is. So I went out and actually bought a 3DS just for this game, and it's really hard to describe, but I get the allure. Like, I understand why people get addicted to it. Like, it's funny. I was talking to my dad the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, we're thinking about putting some cherry trees out in the yard and this and that." And like, all I could talk about was Animal Crossing at that point. Like, you care about that stuff in that game. You know, you're literally
know.
just mayor of your town.
I would never plant trees in real life.
You're planting trees. You're fishing for things. It's just that.
And it's the same thing every day almost. And that's the part that why am I gravitating towards this?
Right, you're pulling weeds.
I pull weeds. I plant flowers. I dig up fossils. I fish and I catch bugs, and then I sell it all and add on to my house and buy furniture. That's the whole game, and I do it every day.
Yeah.
The other part to that is like, that's the same as what it was on the GameCube. Like,
right,
I
it's
know,
the same
I know,
experience.
That's the crazy part. It's the same game.
Yeah.
People talk about how when we get a new Mario, at least side-scroller Mario, well, it's just the same game, just new levels. And I'm just like, okay, well, Animal Crossing is just the same game. All of it's the same. Like, it's not new. Like, it's just all the same.
You
There
can't
are new
describe anything
features.
different.
Yeah,
Right.
there are new features, like it adds the mayor thing where you can add the public works projects and stuff, which is really awesome. I mean, I love doing it, and that's what keeps you moving for fishing and all this stuff, because you constantly have stuff that you need so many bells for, which is the money in the game are called bells.
I had really quick. I had an experience where one of the townspeople, they gave me a time capsule to go bury. And she's like, yeah, if you could bury this for me, I'd appreciate it, but don't open it. And so, of course, I open it. I opened it. I took out the letter and read it. It was some letter to herself. And then she had put a shirt in the time capsule.
Yeah.
So I took the shirt out, put it on, and I walked back over to her. And surprisingly, she was like, you opened it, and like was all upset that I actually did that. And I was really surprised. So, yeah, it has like this very awkward but funny line of comedy hidden in it as well. With
The
all
writing for it is great. Like when you go
Yeah.
fishing or catch a bug, and then like the things that it says, like there's a bug out there called a horned dynastid that you can catch, and once you catch it, it says, "You've caught a horned dynastid. Guess your era's over, buddy." And some of the crap they write, it's
Yeah.
really funny. It's a really entertaining game. The way that I like to describe it is that if I could get Animal Crossing in the hands of people who play Candy Crush all day,
which is me.
Yeah.
our society would collapse. Because it's literally like the ultimate
It's that-
time waste game.
Yeah, well, it's like, and if you want to talk about different types of game styles, right, you have your iOS, Android level games, and then you could say a step up from that would be like your handheld Game Boy, PS Vita games, and then you get into console games, right? That's pretty much
PS Vita has games.
We'll save that for another
Barely.
conversation. But anyway, so those are like your, different tiers of gaming. So if you have millions of people just on the tip of the iceberg down here in the mobile phone games, if you could just bring them up a notch and have that premium of like a game like you said, like Animal Crossing,
Yeah.
it would change the
Here's-
world.
Now,
And
what I think,
Go ahead.
all I'm thinking is like this just needs to go from the handheld down to the like mobile phone gaming world.
Well,
Because
it's kind of happening. Just like 2 weeks ago, we had XCOM, which was a PS3, big time award winner. I don't think it sold great, but it's a big time strategy game. But that just got released on iOS.
yeah,
So we're starting to see that kind of thing.
definitely. I mean, I can play Grand Theft Auto Vice City and 3 on my iPhone, and I actually shelled out the $5-6 for each of those.
Yeah.
Just to relive those moments while you're waiting to do whatever.
See,
Yeah, it's definitely getting there.
I've had this discussion, and I kind of want to bring this up with people who are more casual gamers, and most people who play games probably are. Not everyone wants to go out there and spend $60 and $400 on a system, every week or whatever.
Yeah.
But I have this conversation with a game like Animal Crossing where there's so much replay value. Like what I've gotten more than my money's worth, and I've had it for a month.
Yeah.
And
You're
people
doing the
always
same
tell
thing
me-
over and over, but
people-
it's so riveting.
People always tell me that they don't want to pay for it. Well, I want to play Candy Crush because it's free or, whatever. And then I'm like, okay, well, how much have you spent on extra lives at the end of, when
I
you
was just gonna
haven't
say.
finished one? Or there's one thing in there, because I've played it a little bit, and there's one upgrade in there where it lets you, like, get those stripe candies, like, once per level. And it's
You have to pay
$40. It's $40.
Wow.
There's a power-up that you pay $40 to, like, every level it allows you to
Oh, every
put a
level.
stripe. Yeah, every time you get to do it once.
Oh man, first of all,
and it's
Candy Crush.
$40.
The makers of Candy Crush were originally meth dealers, so they know how to plug you in, get you there, and then they're like, "Man, I gotta find that guy again and give him all my money."
We'll stack these candies up and we'll get them all addicted. They can crush them, and we'll make some money off that.
I mean, we've seen over the years, starting with Tetris, then we had the Bejeweled craze, and now this, that the puzzle game is like the arch nemesis of productivity. Like it just
It's a gateway drug.
it is. It really is. Like you start playing these. There's a lady at my work, and I haven't seen the phone, and I don't know how high Candy Crush goes in levels, but she has told me I'm on like level 50. She said she's on level 360.
Shut your face! I thought it was getting close. I'm at level 70. Damn.
I'm not even kidding you. I did do this. Last time I played it, if you go to like the little map screen and like scroll all the way up, it goes on forever. Like there are sections upon. There's probably 30, 40 sections in there that you have to go through.
And that's
I couldn't-
sickening.
I know,
That's
I can't believe it.
$40.
I know. All right, we need to get away from Candy Crush.
Yeah.
That wasn't even supposed to be an issue.
And that's what it does.
Yeah, I know. Now it has.
I'm downloading it right now. Yeah. That's
It's new.
the
It's
whole
new
thing.
Angry Birds, man. I'm telling you. It's just.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Anyway, do we have anything
Well,
else we need to talk to about Animal Crossing?
I think
Other-
that's pretty much it for me on Animal Crossing.
Yeah, it's turning over a new leaf, which I think.
Ooh.
Ooh. And I really you see that coming out with the new iOS 7 for the iPhone. Have you guys looked at it much at all? Any of the reviews or seen what the keynote address was on what they're doing?
Yeah, I watched a little bit on it, and I'm glad that it looks different. I don't really agree with maybe like the color palette. It looks kind of more Samsung-esque
Oh yeah,
for my liking.
sure.
But I'm glad that they're finally switching it up and they're getting away from all these realistic-looking backdrops. Like
Yeah.
they had
For
made a
sure.
point in their keynote about, we ran out of whatever, the green felt or something like that. So I'm glad
Yeah.
that they're going for more of like a flat look, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's really, I don't know, it's kind of meh. Whenever
Well,
it comes,
statistically, the flat icons are trending way better for the 20 to 40-year-olds.
Right.
So
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that they're switching it up, and I guess we'll see. We'll have to wait till fall. I guess that's when it's coming out. But
yeah,
I know that they've had to make some changes, right? Because it seems to me that ever since that Jobs passed away, they've really been kind of like
we don't have
dropping
anything.
they've just been dropping the ball. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like their biggest thing from that conference was, hey, here's our trash can Mac Pro. Like,
Yeah.
you can put some flowers in there. But yeah,
There
they
you
just
go.
haven't really been on top of it like they used to. And
Seriously,
so
like,
it's cool that they're changing it up a little bit, but they got a long ways to go.
Agreed, and I think it's honestly this whole keynote address about how they're switching up the way the iPhone is all set up and everything like that. It's cool and it's good, but where's the next iPhone? To me at least, I'm seeing like, yeah, we have something, and it's the same as like the Mac Pro to me. It's like, hey, we made this trash can, and oh, by the way, we made everything flat on the iPhone.
Right.
They've put up like their notification center. That was a big thing like a year or two ago, but I never used the notification center. So I'm curious to see from this,
Yeah.
like if it's really going to be like mind altering or changing to the way I use my phone, or if it's going to force me to do that.
Right.
And honestly, I kind of hope it does. I hope that they make it so intuitive that it's like you really can't imagine going anywhere else. But if they don't, I mean, it's really losing my interest, and I may become a Google man.
They had
Go to the
brought
Nexus.
they had brought up the
Smart boy.
fact that the control panel featured a flashlight like 3 times in that keynote, and I was like, awesome. That was like 5 years ago. You just get the app for it, but I mean, I'm glad that it's. Go ahead.
You guys are missing the key reveal from that event.
What's that?
You can now have Siri's voice be a man.
Oh,
Yeah,
And also
Samsung's
French and
been
German
putting out
language.
Samsung's been putting out too many ads making fun of our voice, so we've gone ahead and switched it up.
so now they can't make fun of us.
That's pretty much what it felt like. But yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see. They got a lot of impressing to do. They've been dropping the ball.
Yeah, and especially with a society that's just very unimpressed with everything, or maybe that's just me in general.
unimpressed with everything that isn't Apple related. Though.
Right. Back to what you said about the phone.
Everything that Apple does is just a complete. Oh my God, Apple! Did you see how white and smooth it is?
I did, and thank you for noticing that, because I'm about to talk to you about it for 5 minutes.
I do think that they're going to release a phone though before the fall.
Yeah.
Just for whatever reason they're waiting. I think there's another event coming up.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
There has to be. They always do the iOS, and then hey, here's the phone that goes with it.
One of the things that was trending on the internet when I was looking around was the fact that keynote was happening in the same time Microsoft was doing their unveiling for E3. And so people had made it a point to bring that up, and that kind of got the gears rolling in my mind that, okay, maybe Apple does have this Apple TV finally, like a legit TV that's going to have this sort of motion tracking thing or something very similar to the Kinect.
Yeah.
But nothing on that. I mean, I think the rumor mill's been going around and around about that for a couple of years now, that they're working on some sort of Apple TV, but
yeah.
Well, you're getting the watch.
Yeah, but honestly, they've already made a watch. I really think like someone jumped the gun on that. I'll have to put the tag on the website where you can go to take a look at it. But it really, everything of the rumorsville of like, oh, this is what the watch is going to do, this company's already started and accomplished. So the next thing that I've heard as far as like the software side for Apple is that they're coming out with this thing called Maverick, which is going to be like the baby of iTunes. Just to compete with like Spotify and Pandora and stuff like that, with that online streaming where you don't have to pay for the music.
Yeah,
like,
but that's so dated, man. I would have been so happy if they did that like 3 years ago.
Oh no,
because
I
of Spotify.
agree.
Yeah,
because of Spotify, but like that's their next thing that we're late on this because Jobs died, and he wasn't here to tell us, oh, maybe we should think ahead instead of just where everyone else is at.
I don't want to.
They had their heads shoved in that Mac Pro.
I don't want to besmirch the dead or anything, but how long are we gonna let them ride that bandwagon? I mean, no, seriously. I mean, he's the only guy with ideas over there.
Well, the thing that from the several interviews and biographies that I've read and watched, it's really
and the trailers of Ashton Kutcher.
Oh gosh!
Based on the trailers,
I don't really feel like Typhon is a big thing. Get out now. You're like, oh, okay, there's a big dramatic moment for you, Jobs. But the thing that I've noticed is that the thing that Jobs was really good at was he surrounded himself with the smart people and basically didn't let them say, well, I'm so smart, this is the best I can do. He's like, no, think farther ahead, do something better. So he's just a really great motivational speaker. He's the Chris Farley that brought this world to where it needs to be.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. He was a lot, he was behind the drive that they used to have, and it's not really appears to be there anymore. But all right, that's probably gonna have to wrap it up for this episode, guys. We're getting pretty long in the tooth.
Yeah.
Indeed. But just some exciting news for all you listeners out there for next week. We've got some pretty amazing things coming out. We're going to be talking about horrible Netflix, which really is something that we all know and hate about Netflix when we're trying to scroll for something of quality.
Yeah. So really quick, though, let's talk about that a little bit, I guess. What we want to do is have you guys email us in some ideas on some just random horrible movie off of Netflix that we could watch and
we're really looking for those terrible B-list things that you've seen on there, like, oh man, Abraham Lincoln versus zombies. That was just in theaters. Oh wait, no, it wasn't. That was Abraham Lincoln versus Vampire Hunter. This is a completely different knockoff.
Exactly.
That kind of stuff.
We'll let you know if it's even worth watching, and more than likely it won't. But we'll let you know so you don't have to.
You know it's not worth watching, but
we'll watch it.
We're going to punish ourselves and tell you about it.
Yeah. So if you go to our website, it's WCSTPodcast.com. Again, WCSTPodcast.com. Go to the contact section, fill out your name, your info, and then just send us a little comment of the movie that you want us to watch and really put ourselves through. And we'll let you know how it goes next week. As always, you can follow us on Twitter. Cameron's is Cameron Miller, CameronMiller 003. And then
No. Just 00.
Oh, 00. My bad. We've got Paul over here at White Pressure, all one word. And then myself at Please Piper, again, all one word. So
one more thing before we wrap up. If you want to email us critiques, advice, things you'd like us to talk about, please feel free to do that as well.
Yeah, we're really an open book here. We're the actors, and you need to be our director.
Terrible ones, we might add.
We're getting there.
We're getting better. And as always, we'll be talking about the most recent red carpet events with Despicable Me 2 and Lone Ranger, and we'll go over those and talk a little bit more about PS4 and what's coming up and exciting in that realm.
Right.
For all of you gamers with a brain in your skull who are going to buy a PS4
Yeah, indeed. Or
not-
convert you.
and not an Xbox One.
Yeah. And that really wraps up our show, guys. We appreciate your time and listening. And we'll be seeing you next week.
Come back.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
As always, your host, Nelson Piper, Cameron Miller, and Paul Wachowski. Have a good one.
Bye.
Out.
We